Hi, hello, welcome back. Today we're gonna do some baking. Nothing's better than a Sunday afternoon of just peaceful baking in the kitchen. By the way, I'm Tiffany. I live in a small university town with my husband and our two standard poodles and a lot of plants. And also, I love to bake. So let's get going. Today we have three things we're gonna bake. We're gonna bake some sourdough that I prepped yesterday. We are going to bake some lemon zucchini chia seed muffins so I can have them for breakfast with some hard-boiled eggs or some chicken sausage. I've realized that I don't eat enough fiber, and so I'm trying to get a lot of fiber in, and so those chia seeds are going to provide a ton of fiber. And we're also actually going to mix up some pizza dough for dinner tonight. So let's get going.
Okay, so here's our sourdough. It's been sitting out on the counter overnight, so about 9 hours. I'm just gonna take the plastic wrap off. I put that on so that way the top doesn't get hard. I've noticed that if I don't put it on, my top has like a weird crust to it. Then we're gonna dump out our dough onto a floured work surface. So we can go ahead and split it into two. The sourdough recipe that I use, which I will link down below, makes 2 loaves. Okay, then I'm going to take this bench scraper and just use it to cut my dough. If you guys don't have a bench scraper, you've got to get one. They're so good for dough handling, but they're also great for scraping counters when you're cleaning them and getting all that flour off, and they're just great all around. So now I'm going to pat the dough into sort of a rectangle. Rectangle is a loose term here, but that's what we're doing. Then I'm going to roll it. I guess this is hot dog style. And then I'm going to turn it the other way and roll it hamburger style. And that will kind of give us our round shape. Then what I'm doing is just trying to get the surface tension on the dough. And so we do that by pushing and pulling until the dough is tight on the outside. I let my 2 dough balls sit on the counter for about an hour so they would double in size. And so now I'm ready to bake. So I just throw them on some parchment with a little bit of flour on there. And this one I'm actually baking in a rectangle dish, and so I'm gonna just kind of make it oblong, if you will. I don't have any of the oval roofing baskets, and so maybe I should get some of those, but this works just fine. Then I'm just going to transfer it over, parchment and all. And I realized that my parchment was sticking out kind of sort of a lot here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Okay, now it's time for my second loaf, and I actually put some cornmeal in the bottom of my Dutch oven because I've noticed if I don't, the bottom of my dough burns. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. The loaf itself doesn't ever touch that cornmeal though, if you're worried about that, because it goes on the parchment. This is kind of funner than the last loaf because we actually get to score this one. So I covered it in flour, and now I'm just gonna do one big deeper score right down the middle. And this is where our loaf is gonna open up a lot. And then I'm just gonna do a couple of little slits on the side, mostly just for aesthetics.
Yeah, what do you think, huh? What do you think? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh. Right here. Usually when I'm baking while it's in the oven, I like to clean up the kitchen, just because then I don't have to do it later and I can just eat whatever I've baked without looking at the dirty kitchen. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna clean up.
Okay, now we're starting on these lemon zucchini chia seed muffins. And they were actually pretty easy to make. The hardest part was grating the zucchini and straining it, but that's the hardest part of every zucchini recipe. So I also got a little bit of eggshell in there. My bad. That's why we do the eggs first. I admittedly did veer from the recipe in a few areas, and one of them was lemon juice. The recipe only called for the zest, but I really like lemon, and so I just threw them in, and I think it was totally fine. So here I'm also veering a little bit from the recipe because I only have half of the all-purpose flour that I need, so I'm just going to substitute it with the other half whole wheat flour. Admittedly here, I probably could have substituted the sugar for, I don't know, maybe applesauce or maple syrup. I just didn't really think about it. But next time, I think that's definitely something I would do. I don't think it would affect the taste very much. Instead of lining my muffin tins, I'm just using some avocado oil here. And then we're going to go ahead and fill them with about 3 tablespoons each, I would say.
We have a few minutes until the muffins that I put in are done, and then we'll have to make the pizza dough. I like to spend this time doing a few things. Sometimes it takes me the whole time to clean the kitchen. Sometimes I like to read. Sometimes I'll fold laundry. Sometimes I like to journal. Sometimes I like to go outside with the dogs. It all just depends. Today I'm just gonna spend some time journaling because it's the first of the month, and I like to set up my habit tracker and just like my monthly journal spread. So I might take some time to do that.
Okay, this is the Doodle planner, and I will link it down below, but I just wanted to take a minute to talk about it because it is so awesome. This isn't sponsored or anything like that. I just really do love it. I don't use it as a planner. I use it more as a journal, but on every single page, just they have things you can color in, which is super fun and kind of just like gives me something to do. And they also have habit tracker, which I use all the time, and it's fully custom, so you can write whatever habits you want. And then they also have like a food tracker. And so that's been really fun. I can fill it out every day. And then the daily spreads, they're intentionally made for planning purposes. I don't use them as a planner. I use them to either journal my thoughts that day or like write down my to-do list or something like that.
Muffins are done. I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna try them. We're gonna try this little guy on the end because, like, look at how, I don't know why. I don't know what happened. We're just gonna try it. I mean, it looks good. Great. The recipe didn't call for the lemon juice, but I'm glad I put it in there. They're not overly sweet. which is good. The zucchini gives them kind of a spongy texture, but really good.
Here we're switching gears a little bit, and I let my active dry yeast foam up a little bit in some warm water and some sugar. And then you saw me add some salt and some oil and then dried flour. Despite having made a lot of bread and a lot of doughs, I still struggle with how much flour to add and when the dough is completely ready. I usually go off by feel, and so you see me a couple times in here just poking my finger in. If dough comes back on my finger and it's really sticky, I know I need to add more flour. Once I know it's done is if it bounces back and there's no more dough sticky on my finger. If it's just a little sticky, I just need it a little bit more and see if that does the trick. This recipe made 4 pizzas, so I'm cutting it into just 4 dough balls to put into pizza crust after they proof on the counter. This dough is a little bit different than the sourdough. It's not near as sticky and it's a lot thicker, I guess would be a way to describe it. And so we don't need to do the whole stretch and pulls and the getting the surface tension tight. I'm just rolling these and then tucking them into themselves so that way they're in a circular shape.
That looks awesome.
Here's our pizza dough after about 2 hours on the counter. We just roll it out with a rolling pin and make it into pizzas.